Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right down there? Yeah, I can see a few people nodding. Great. What a fantastic audience. I think if you're looking for seats, there's still a few just down here and some just over there, a couple over here. Let's pack it in nice and tight so I can take a good photo. All right, if you're in this room, you're here for Office 365 and Azure Active Directory Premium. Does that sound about right to everyone? Great, fantastic. All right, not a great picture. Hi, I'm Mark Rhodes. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I've been here in the past talking about all kinds of things from Virtual Machine Manager through to SharePoint 2013, Office 365. I am a solution specialist for a company across on the West Island called Empired. If that doesn't ring a bell, you might have heard of a company here called Intergen. We're effectively the same company, just, that's our sister branch. If you're looking for me on Twitter, @mrhodes, not Mr. Hodes. If you're looking for my blog, which I very occasionally update, mrhodes.net. And lastly, if you're looking to email me, I'm more than happy to take questions about the session, about anything you'd like to talk about, really, at mark.rhodes@empired.com. Our agenda today, we're quite obviously going to be talking a bit about Azure Active Directory. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll go through all of the differences between the Azure AD service levels, because there's 3 of them that we need to talk about. We'll talk about all of the features that are in there. So we're going to be talking about things like multi-factor authentication. We're going to talk about branding your Office 365 portal / your Azure Active Directory portal for your user experience. We're going to show you how to do some cool stuff like password reset and writing back to Active Directory. And we're going to go into reporting a bit depending on how we go for time. This is going to be a fairly demo-heavy session, so we're not going to spend terribly much time in PowerPoint. We're going to flick over to RDP and a lot of time in the browser. All right, there are 3 questions I'd really like you to consider, and I'm guessing as most of you are IT professionals, these are things you've thought about at least once in the past. How much do forgotten passwords cost my business? What would a security breach cost my business? And lastly, can I put a value on a good user experience? So let's just do a quick poll of the audience. How many people in the room here have a support team or something like that for their business? Right, great, most of you. How much time do you think on average that your help desk or your support team is spending on users who've forgotten their passwords? Anyone want to throw a figure out there? 25%? Is that actually a known figure? Like you've tracked it? Yep. 1 FTE. Okay, great. Well, you know exactly the cost that is to your business, right? So that's good. I'm going to get to that at the end of the session. Gartner estimate that between 20 and 50% of all help desk calls worldwide are for password resets. Right, so if you've got a support team, you're going to be spending a fantastic amount of time, right, just dealing with password resets. Now, that figure compounds quite a bit if you start to be security conscious. Right? If you're going to implement good password policies, forcing users to reset their password on a regular basis, then you're going to get more support calls, obviously, as more and more users forget their password. Forrester estimate that the average help desk labor cost is around $70. Right? So you're spending quite a bit of money each year on resetting passwords for your users. Now, that doesn't include the time lost in productivity for the user as they put in their 3 wrong passwords, go get a coffee, come back, try it again, scratch their head or their bum, and then go give it another try before calling the support desk with something's wrong. Now, those figures that I've quoted are widely regarded as conservative. Right? So you have to take those as probably the lowest level. And I'm going to tell you some interesting statistics I've dug up too for this presentation. 64% of end users have written down their password at least once. 65% of workers use the same password for multiple applications. 70% of people do not use a unique password for each website they visit. That one in particular is quite relevant. Probably means that for your internal IT password, they're going to be using that on Google, Mail, Ashley Madison. They wouldn't do that, I'm sure. 33% of users will happily share their password with other users. And of those, something like 80% won't bother to change it afterwards. And 25% of end users forget their password on a regular basis. Oh, sorry, I just tried to use a touch screen on a non-touch screen. All right, best practices based on security research indicate that passwords should be changed more often than they are currently, perhaps as frequently as 30 days. And only 3 incorrect attempts should be allowed before a password is disabled. Does that sound about right for password policy? But imagine the cost to your business if you implemented a password reset every 30 days. Right? It would be ridiculous. You'd have lost productivity. Your help desk, you'd probably go from 1 FTE over there to 2 at least. Let's move on to the next point, which was how much would a security breach cost your business? Has anyone actually had a security breach and worked out how much it cost them?
We were lucky in the place we did much. It was 2 days.
Okay, 2 days. So it would have been at least 6 figures for that kind of thing, the impact? Around there? Okay, that's fine. The average, this is a worldwide figure, and it's Gartner again that's quoted it. The average figure on a security breach is $3.8 million US. Right, so that's probably about close to 5 over here. And almost always this can be linked to poor password security and poor IT policies, right? So I'm asking the question, how much is it going to cost you? I'm going to say around 5 million New Zealand dollars for a security breach. If you're using Azure Active Directory Premium, you may be able to prevent that. And lastly, how much is a great user experience worth? Now, when you're dealing with an IT department as an end user, all you remember is the bad stuff, right? Everyone remembers the 10-minute phone calls. Everyone remembers the machine not working. Being an IT department, it's really hard to deliver something that users remember as a great experience. And one of the few things they do remember as a great experience are visual improvements to platforms. Right, so if you can improve the branding on your sign-in page, users are actually going to remember that, and they're going to feel like you're doing something. I'm not saying you're not doing anything, but they're going to feel like you're doing more. So I can't give you a dollar figure on how much a great user experience costs, but I guarantee that if you brand Azure Active Directory Premium, your users will notice and they will enjoy and appreciate it. All right, about Azure Active Directory. Let's just start off. How many people actually have an Office 365 tenant? You guys are good. In Australia, it'd be like 3 people. The rest would be riding kangaroos. So if you have Office 365, and I'm going to have some assumed knowledge here, you do have Azure Active Directory already. Everyone's aware of that, yeah? Right, so this is a 300 level session. We do have some assumed knowledge about Azure Active Directory. And that, you have to assume you know how to use it. You've had a quick look at it. That's about all you need to know for now. Let's go through some of the offerings that Azure Active Directory Premium has and where they sit. So the first 2 up the top are Directory as a Service. Now this is where you provide a directory for your end users in Office 365 and Azure Active Directory, and Azure AD Connect. Now Azure AD Connect is the latest version of what's previously been called DIRSync, Azure Active Directory Sync. Now it's called Azure AD Connect, and that's what we're going to be using for this demonstration. Those features are available in all 3 versions, the free, the basic, and the premium version. If we move down, when we move into the basic and premium versions, we've got a 99.9% uptime SLA. What that means is if for any reason Azure Active Directory goes down, you're going to get a Microsoft rebate credit, so your bill's going to be less the following month. The basic and premium versions also introduce branding, self-service password reset, and the application proxy. Now those are not all of the features that are introduced, but these are the ones I think are most relevant for most businesses. And then moving down to the premium version, we start to introduce Microsoft Identity Manager or Forefront Identity Manager licenses, as well as the ability to use that to synchronize up to your Azure Active Directory. Self-service password reset again, except this time with a write back to an on-premises directory. Advanced security reports, which I'll try to show at the end, they're fantastic. They can show you a great deal of information about what the users are doing. And finally, multi-factor authentication. Now, all of those last 4 features are only offered on the premium version. Let's start off. Actually, you know what? I've gone through all of these. I'm not going to go through. We'll save some time here. Let's straight away roll up our sleeves and get into the demo environment. Now, my demo environment is a very simple trial Office 365 demo account, which was free. Right? It's also hooked into Azure Active Directory Premium, which is a free 30-day trial. I'm also using a VM in Azure with Azure AD Connect. It's obviously a domain controller, so it's got user identities sitting on it. And it's set to synchronize up with, currently with identities, but during the demonstration, we're going to sync it up so it does password replication as well. So let's go into the demo environment and have a quick look at Azure Active Directory. Okay, so hopefully everyone in the room is familiar with this page here. This is the Office 365 portal. Now, while this is pretty handy, this is not where we're going to be spending most of this demonstration, right? We're going to pretty much jump over to Azure Active Directory straight away. And the quickest way to do that, if you didn't know, is down here on the bottom left. There is a link for Azure AD. There's always this moment where you wonder if it's going to load in front of 200 people. It's taking its time. How long does it take you guys to download Game of Thrones over here? All right. We're now in the Azure Active Directory portion of the the Azure portal. Has everyone seen this before? Can I just get a quick indication? Most people have seen this? Fantastic, great. We won't spend too much time here. This is the portal. We're going to spend a lot of time in the Configure tab over here. As you can see, I have a lot of users which are being synchronized up from a local Active Directory. One thing I do want to note is you can see this one user here that's sitting, if it was an Office 365, that would just be saying a cloud user instead of synced with local Active Directory. Here it says Microsoft Azure Active Directory. This is something I've noticed that some of my customers aren't doing. If you have SSO or you've got synchronization back to your directory, I just want to add this as a tip. Always make sure you've got at least one user, which is a .onmicrosoft.com user, just in case something goes wrong with your SSO or your DIRSync, so you can still get in there and fix things up. All right, just a quick tip. You can see I've got all those users there. They're obviously being replicated off from this VM here. Just quickly jump into Active Directory, and you can see pretty much the same users are there. This is not rocket science. Everyone knows how to do this part of things. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll go back, and we're going to do some licensing. Right? So let's just say you don't have Azure Active Directory Premium right now, if you go to this page here, the root page, down the bottom, it's going to be offering you a 30-day free trial of Azure Active Directory Premium. I would recommend, if you get the chance, go and try that. You can own, it's per user licensing, right, that's enabled. So you can go through and just license yourself and maybe a couple of other users and use the features and evaluate them. Once that's done, you've got to go over to the Licenses tab and you've got to license a few users by clicking this little arrow here. Okay, and we're going to license some of our users quickly. So we'll click the Assign button. Okay, I'm not going to do it for everyone because I just want to use these two users for the demonstration purposes. Okay, and that's my very brief introduction to Azure AD Premium. That's all we need to know for the purposes of this demo. We'll go through into different areas as we go forward. All right, the first thing we're going to do is customize our Office 365 sign-in experience. Now, I say Office 365 sign-in experience, but I really mean our sign-in experience for our organizational IDs on any Microsoft online page, right? So Azure, whatever you're using, Office 365, doesn't matter. You can brand the sign-in experience and give your users a much better sign-in experience. As I mentioned, it's only available in the basic and premium levels. And similar functionality can actually be accomplished with ADFS. Has anyone gone through and branded an ADFS 3.0 sign-in? Yeah, a few people, great. You can do pretty much the same thing. It's actually just easier to do here. And it was already pretty easy to do in ADFS 3.0. It's even easier here. The reason why, many companies want a consistent look and feel across all their services so their users won't be confused when they're switching between applications. Now, we can customize the appearance of any end-user facing pages, including company logo and color schemes. There is one thing to mention, and that it does take up to an hour to take effect. So this is why it's the first demo. I'm going to turn it on, show you how to do it, and then hope it's up and working by the time we finish all the demos. All right, so here's an example of a branded sign-in page, right? You can see on the left, I've got a picture of these wind turbines, which everyone loves on their sign-in page for some reason. And on the top right, I've got the logo. In this case, I've just picked a fictional company, Viridian Dynamics. And all I've done is upload a logo. I'll just show you this quickly. First thing we can do is we can introduce a banner logo. Now, AD Premium is very fickle about the sizes you've got to use, right? So you have to resize the image to 60 by 280 for the banner logo. If you want to have some sign-in page text, something to help your users, to help them get familiarized with it, or even a contact, you know, if you're having any troubles, email this address, you can add that in the optional sign-in page text there. And lastly, you get what's called the sign-in page illustration, which is a 1400 by 1200 pixel image, and that's used for the background. I see a couple of people taking pictures, so I'll leave that. This is downloadable, of course, via the slide decks on the Ignite portal. So if you want to go back and reference it, you can get it from there. And something else to mention is that as it's fully responsive, you get a similar experience on every device, no matter what it is. If it's a mobile device, if it's a tablet, if it's a laptop, you're going to get, you know, consistent look and feel through the whole thing, and it's going to adapt as necessary. So let's go and customize our sign-in experience. All right, so we're back in Azure Active Directory, and we're going to head over to the Configure tab. Now this one's nice and easy. You can see up the top we've got a sign-in and access panel page appearance. All we have to do is customize branding here, and we can go forward and put in some images. So the banner logo, I've just got this banner logo I prepared earlier, and I've named them so it's nice and easy to find. Upload that there. A square logo. Now the square logo is used for mobile devices and the like, where you want a smaller image right next to your username and password field. So I've got this one here. And if you want to, you can have an inverse theme. So you can have a dark theme if you want to have the darker background. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave that with that same logo. Okay, and you can, as I said, you can have sign-in page text headings and sign-in page text. Right, so just say, right, obviously fictional, but you can put whatever you like in there. You can say if you can't sign in, you're unsupported, whatever you like. And lastly, we'll put in the sign-in page illustration, which is this big image here. Now, we could have used anything, but I like my wind turbines, so there we go. And if you want to, you can put in a sign-in page background color, right, to customize branding with whatever your company's color is. Anyone want to suggest a color here? I hope you can talk hex format. No? 00? All right. I don't know what that is, but I'm interested to find out. Nicely done. If I had a prize, you'd get one. All right. Thank you. All right. That is how easy it is to customize your branding for Azure Active Directory. Now, anyone could do that, right? An end user could do that. It's that easy to do. Now, it's not going to take effect immediately, right? If we go over and open an in-private window, which, let me just do that quickly. I just go to portal.microsoftonline.com. Right, now, branding obviously isn't going to take effect, right, until you go to specific areas. So you're going to have to enter in your email address before the branding will actually come up. So I'm going to use dan.jump@mroads.net. And when I click over here, it's going to have a think about it. And you can see, oh, look at that. It actually came through really quickly. Just like that, the branding's come through. Now, that's almost unheard of. In my demonstrations earlier, it was taking half an hour or more to come up. So we've gotten really lucky. You can see We've got the nice images that we hadn't put up there. And you can see down in the bottom right here, we've got our support text. Welcome to Viridian Dynamics. If you require assistance, please call 1-800-SUPPORT. I'm glad you've seen the Better Off Ted show. There we go. I was wondering if anyone would get that. The company is a fictional company from a TV show, which is well worth watching, by the way. It's very good. All right. We don't need to sign in here. All I wanted to show you was the branding. The next demonstration, we will actually try a sign in. So let's move back to the slide deck. Does anyone have any questions about the branding before we go on? No? Fantastic.
So you can't promote it for school references?
So let me just go back. Which references we...
Sign up with a work or school account? Or...
No, I don't think so. No, there's some things you can add and some things you can't add, and it's very prescriptive in what you can do. So unless you saw it on one of those previous pages, it probably can't be done, I'm afraid. We can quickly jump back and have a look. Let me just see. So we can go through, and this time you notice it's edit the existing branding rather than create a new branding settings. No, nothing there to do that, and yeah, there's nothing there I can do unless that's it there. No. So, good question. Didn't know the answer. There we go. There is one thing I do want to mention while we're here, though, and I would have forgotten it otherwise, so thank you. And that's it. Check this out. If I want to add a completely different experience for a different language, I can do that. Now, that uses browser culture, right? I think that's correct. I better check. Yeah, that sounds right. If not, if it doesn't use user browser culture, it's going to use the user locale set in Office 365. It's one of those two. Sorry, I've forgotten which one it is. But regardless, if you set that up, you can have a different branding experience, for whatever one, for whatever culture users are coming from. Okay. So in summary, customizing an Office 365 and Azure Active Directory login is really effective. It's really simple. It can be done with anyone with a photo editor effectively, and it'll provide that consistent look and feel across all of your applications. For more information, I've set up some tiny URL links that link directly to relevant MSDN articles to save you looking for them. This one's tinyurl.com/AAD branding. Self-service password reset. Now, for me, this is the feature that really sells Azure Active Directory Premium. This allows end users to reset their passwords, and it's available in both the basic and premium subscriptions, with a bit of a twist though. In the premium subscription, it allows you to write back to your on-premises Active Directory, right? Because if you've got synchronization from your on-premises directory up into Azure Active Directory, and you reset a password just in Azure Active Directory, it's not really helping your users. Right, it's going to be overwritten the next time a synchronization is done. So it's kind of pointless to have that there if you've got synchronization. If your directory is only in Azure Active Directory, then you can get away with having password reset on a basic edition only, which is cheaper. Now, this technology is heavily based on the technology behind the scenes in multi-factor authentication, right? Because it relies on having more than one factor to prove that your users are who they say they are. So it really is an extension of those multi-factor capabilities that Azure Active Directory offers. Okay. Let's jump straight back into a demo for this one. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is take you over to my demo server because, actually, I'll just show you in here. So you can see I've got directory synchronization is activated. Right, so it is synchronizing. It's been done less than an hour ago. If I go to the Configure tab, once it finishes loading, if it finishes loading, let's try that one more time. I usually do this in Chrome, I'll be honest. Come on, you guys know what it's like, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, you can see users enabled for password reset is set to no currently. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly jump over that demo server and we're going to enable password write back, right? Because that's an important thing to add. So we do that by going over the start menu. You can see we've got Azure AD Connect, which is what I'm using to synchronize my user identities. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to hit Customize Synchronization Options. Right, how many people are actually using Azure AD Connect already? It's much better, isn't it, than DirSync and Azure AD Sync. Okay. Just connecting up to verify I am who I say I am. Right, fantastic. Now, it kind of looks in this wizard like I have to go through and put my credentials through again, but if you look down the bottom, you can see it's already hooked up to a local directory, so I don't need to do that. I can just skip it by clicking Next. And all I have to do is come in here, and you can see I've already got password sync enabled, right? I'm going to just tick password write back, click Next, and I'm going to start a synchronization. That way, Azure Active Directory knows, at the synchronization time that I have that feature enabled. While that's doing that, I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to open up the synchronization service as well so we can see what's happening. And we might just leave that run in the background because we don't really need to know too much about that for the next part of the demo. Apart from the fact you can see it's going to go through, and any second now we should see a synchronization start to occur. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable users for password reset. So we just click yes here, and straight away more options are going to become available. Do we want to restrict users' access to password reset? For this occasion, no, we won't. And you can see here authentication methods available to users. So these are the authentication methods that users can use to verify who they are. For instance, they can use their mobile phone, an alternate email address, an office phone, or security questions. Now, for this, I'm just going to leave mobile phone and alternate email addresses available. We've got down below this number of days before users must confirm their contact data. So for this to actually work, right, as I've mentioned, it's all based on multi-factor authentication. We need our users to prove and sign in at least once, update their contact details, or confirm the ones that have synced up from Active Directory are correct, and then they can use that. They're called, no, I'll get to that in a sec, but there's a name for enforced, that's it. Enforced users are ones who've gone through and they've already proved it. We can customize our contact our administrator links, so if we want to say contact support@viridiandynamics.com, we can do that. And you can see here it says you need to install Azure Active Directory Sync and enable password write-back feature to manage on-premises passwords from the cloud. That's what we just did effectively. And you can see it hasn't quite come through yet because password write-back server status is at not configured. But even though we've said yes, write back passwords to the on-premises directory. So we're going to go through and we're just going to click save on that. And that's going to update our directory. While that's doing that, we'll just come back and make sure, it doesn't look like a sync's gone through, but that's okay, we can force a sync. This is one of the nice features of Azure AD Connect is that it all works through Task Scheduler. So if you need to do another sync, just do it like that. And that should start synchronizing any second now. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we should probably go through and actually see what it's like for users to do a password reset. There is one thing I should mention, and that's that users do need to register. Now, there is an address that you can register for password reset, which is aka.ms/SSPR setup. Right, so if you send out an email to users asking them to go to that link, they can go through and register for this. So we'll do that in a in private window. Let me just close that existing one off. Okay, so aka.ms/SSPR setup. So self-service password reset setup. The first thing it'll do is ask us to log in, so I'll use dan.jump at mroads.net. Okay, so it's saying, and you notice we've got the nice little branding up the top there, right? If I had done the black logo, which I didn't do at the time, that would be nice and not white. I'm not a graphics designer, so I haven't done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to verify my authentication phone. Okay, I'll set my country to Australia. I'm going to click the text me button. Hopefully, this is the dodgy part. I got a text. Okay, it's given me a code I can put in, so 360 040. Okay, and at this point I could finish, or I could use an authentication email. I'm going to skip that and just go through with the phone. All right, and it's redirected me away. Now I'm going to close this tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through and pretend that Dan has forgotten his password. So go to www.outlook.com/mroads.net. Okay, now you can see the branding came up straight away. Anyone got an idea why that came up straight away rather than waiting for the username and password? Exactly, all right. So I put /mroads.net at the end, and that's given enough instruction to bring it back there. At mroads.net, and we'll just say can't access your account. Okay, so that's brought through the user ID, dan.jump@mroads.net. We'll enter the captcha, so LPVSQD, which will probably not be correct. Okay, and you can see it's now saying, in order to protect your account, we need you to enter your complete mobile number below. So I'll enter my complete mobile number. Hopefully any second now. Okay, I've got a text saying, use this code to verify for Microsoft. Okay, and now I can enter a new password. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to enter first a weak password. So just password. There's a reason for this. Okay, so this password does not meet your corporate password policy. Please be sure to use a mix of upper and lowercase numbers, letters, and symbols, and to update your password to one you haven't used previously. So, okay, we'll give that one a try. I think I used one I've used previously there, so I'll just try a different one. All right, let's... Yeah. Does anyone else have this problem with their IT policy? Do you know what? Let's do it the real way. This is the way everyone does it, right? I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm not going to use this user again after this, just in case. All right. Let's just say 15 characters long, just in case. And go. I reckon this is going to spit out with exactly the same problem, but we'll see how we go. Oh dear. All right, look, I'm gonna skip this for now because I'm not going to deal with it. It's probably my group policy that I've tweaked at some point and just screwed up completely. Could be. Just make sure I got that the same. Give it one last try. Yeah, all right. Don't know what's going on there. Let's just put that one down to the demo gods and hope that that's the last one. What I did want to show you there by using an incorrect password, and I managed to get it quite well by not validating my IT security policy. If we go over to Event Viewer, okay, and we open up Windows Logs, Application Log, you're actually going to see back on my on-premises directory, I've got events that are coming through. Right, so it is contacting my back on-premise directory for the password write back. And in this case, it's saying a restriction prevents the password from being changed to the current one specified. Don't know what the restriction is. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but it's a very informative error message that I would no doubt spend a bit of time trying to track back. All right, but you can see the important bit here is that when you do a password reset, it is going to contact back to your on-premises directory and verify that it meets your password complexity requirements. It definitely does that. And if I had successfully reset my password, we'd see an event in here letting me know that I had successfully reset my password as well. Yeah, that really bugs me. I really want to try it again. All right. As I mentioned at the start of this feature is what sells Azure Active Directory Premium, and the reason why is your users generally, your help desk, spend so much time dealing with requests like this. If you can empower your end users to reset their own password, then you're going to obviously reduce the amount of time your help desk spends on it, and I don't know about your help desk, but mine is always flat out, right? So we'll give them a chance to actually catch up on the workload they haven't been able to do until now. And as a result, hopefully an improved IT admin life expectancy. Now let's move on to multi-factor authentication. I'd hope that everyone in this room knows what two-factor authentication is. I'm going to get a few nods, yeah? Great. Multi-factor authentication is basically two or more factors of authentication. It's really that simple. For those of you who don't know two-factor, it's a security system that requires one or more methods of authentication from independent categories of credentials to verify the user's identity for a login or other transaction. Now, it's a very, very effective way of ensuring that only your users are going to sign into your IT systems, right? So it's a very effective way of reducing the chance of a security breach, right, by enabling for your end users. Now, supported applications, pretty much anything in a browser, right, is going to be supporting multi-factor authentication. If your organization is using Office 2013, it is supported natively, right? So you can sign into those applications natively. And that's via the use of the Active Directory Authentication Library, which has been embedded into Office 2013. And finally, for authentication scenarios that are not covered in the two I've mentioned, so browser and Office 2013 client apps, you can sign into those unsupported apps with what's called an app password, which is a generated unique password for one application that bypasses multi-factor authentication. Now, I'm not sure I like that because it kind of bypasses the point of having multi-factor authentication, but it's an option if you absolutely must sign into an application that is not going to support it. And keep in mind, up until recently, Outlook 2013 didn't support it, so you had to use app passwords. So there are some use cases for these things. Right, in case you didn't know, there are actually 3 different and distinct options for multi-factor authentication within Office 365. The first one is multi-factor authentication just for Office 365. If you've got Office 365 licenses, you're actually licensed to use multi-factor authentication, and you get most of the features of Azure Active Directory Premium's multi-factor authentication in that. If you want to use Azure multi-factor authentication, as in the same as Premium, if you're a Azure administrator, you can use that functionality without having to pay for a license. Now, if you have an Azure tenant, and given most of you probably do, if you're using it for anything, I would highly recommend you go and enable at least that feature, if nothing else. Right? It's not going to cost you anything extra, and you're going to secure down your Azure tenant, right? Which, if you've got services up there, could be the difference between an outage and no outage, right? And lastly, we have Microsoft Azure multi-factor authentication. Now, these are all the advanced features supporting Office 365 hybrid environments. We can secure resources for SaaS applications. We can secure resources that span... All good? It's all right. We can secure resources that span on-premises and off-premises applications. So if you've got site-to-site VPN or some line of business apps being accessed through those, you can use multi-factor authentication back to those applications. And lastly, it allows you, if you're using SSO, to use multi-factor authentication on your ADFS servers as well. Oh, sorry, wrong button. All right, let's jump back and just jump into a demo here. Now, we've already seen some of the features there of multi-factor authentication via the password reset. We'll look at a few different ones and how to enable them. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to head back to Azure Active Directory. And we're going to add a multi-factor authentication namespace in. So, sorry, multi-factor auth provider in, sorry, my mistake. And we'll just call this Ignite NZ Demo. We're going to just do this per enabled users, and we're going to link our Ignite NZ Active Directory, Azure Active Directory up to it. And we'll click Create. Now, you can actually skip that step, and it's really easy to skip it and miss it out. But what it does is, if you skip that, is you're limiting your directory to not use any of the Azure Active Directory Premium features, right? So if you're going to go through and do it, you might as well do that first. Otherwise, the whole thing's kind of pointless. You'll be paying for licenses that aren't really getting you anything. All right, and you can see that will now show up in the multi-factor auth provider. And if I click here, you can see the usage model in the directory. And if I click down the bottom, we can go off and manage it and add a few bits of functionality in. Now, I'm not going to really worry about that. I'm not going to wait for that to load. If you want to go and play around with that, you can. Okay, we'll go back over to our directory. And we're going to go straight back to the Configure tab, which is where all of our premium features really live. Give it a few seconds to load. It'll get there, don't worry. Anyone know any jokes? All right, there we go. We're going to skip all the way down here to multi-factor authentication. Now, if we click Manage Service Settings, it's going to take us out and away, and this page may be familiar to a few people who've fiddled around with Office 365. right, it's going to take us over, sorry, I've got it on service settings, we need to go back to users. Has everyone seen this page by clicking, configure multi-factor authentication in Office 365? A few people have? All right, it looks exactly the same, right, which is why I'm not taking you through setting up Office 365 multi-factor auth and also independently Azure multi-factor auth. They look the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable this user here, Chris Johnson, and all I have to do is tick and click enable. And just like that, multi-factor auth is enabled for the selected accounts. Okay, so what we might do is we might open a new in private session and try to sign in with that user and show you what happens. Ha, that'll be right. I think that might be because I've got an extra letter in there. Let me just check. Yeah, Johnson, sorry, my mistake. There we go. Now, you'll notice that it's coming up saying, your admin has requested that you set this account up for additional security verification. And we've got to go ahead and say, set it up now. Okay, and you can see it's saying, how should we contact you? And I've got the options here of authentication phone, Office app, mobile app, or Office phone. So I'll select the region. And you can see my phone number's already come through because it's been synchronized from Active Directory. And I'm going to say, send me a code by text message. And again, it should be exactly the same mechanism we saw earlier where I'll magically get a text message. Okay. 828.153. Okay, you can see straight away as well, it's generated me an app password, right, that I can use for other applications. Now, I'm not going to use that. I mean, if I wanted to, I could just use that password by clicking that icon there. We'll skip that for the purposes of this demo. And we'll click done. So what we might do is we might just refresh that. Okay, you can see it's changed now to text me at XXXXX with a 7-1 at the end, which is my phone number. So it's already sent me the code, which is 683359. Okay, and it's asking me to set up additional information now so that I don't lose access if ever I try to sign in. So I'll go through and do that as well quickly. Now, see how it's asked me to verify and set up emails? So it's asked me to do pretty much the same thing I've already gone to. If before I tried to sign in, gone to SSPR setup, I could have skipped this step, right, which is the link I told you about earlier. So again, another text message. Okay, and we'll go finish. Because I hadn't gone through and set up the multi-factor stuff previously to that. Right? If I'd sent my users out to go to that address and done the verify step, it would have skipped it. So we wouldn't have done that first step that we did, if that makes sense. All right, I don't have a mailbox, which is why that's not coming up, but you can see I've signed in. We might just take it over to portal@microsoftonline.com so it looks like it's working. And we're going to actually, you can see that is working there. What I'm going to do is going to close this and sign back in and see if anyone can pick something that might be frustrating here. Say that again. Oh, good question. Yeah, don't know. I'll mention it at the next team meeting. No, wait, I don't work for Microsoft. I'm not going to listen. No, I'm kidding. They listen to everything. Emirates.net. Okay, can anyone see anything interesting, considering this is a multi-factor auth user now? What's missing from this page? Anyone? Sorry? Well, the branding is missing. I can't explain that. That's a new one. Sorry? No, it hasn't done the redirect. That's the branding that they mentioned. No, what's missing here? Anyone see it? This is multi-factor auth specific. There's no multi-factor auth button. More importantly, has anyone tried using multi-factor auth where you have to enter it every time you log in? It drives you crazy. I mean, it is probably a form of Chinese torture. If I click sign in, it's going to send me off, right? It's sending me a text message. Now I've got 5 or 6 of them on the screen, so it could be confusing which one I'm using. If I get it. There we go. Right, every time I close this browser, right, I'm going to have to get a text message and re-authenticate. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but I guarantee after a few days of using it, you'll be tearing your hair out at that point. Fortunately, and this is a very, very new development, we can actually do a remember password option. Right, and it's just a bit hidden. That's why I'm going to show you it. If we go back over to this page and we go to service settings, now it gives us a few options here. I'll take you right down the end. Suspend multi-factor authentication for remembered devices. And you can see it's in preview. So we can allow users to suspend multi-factor authentication by causing a device to be remembered days before a device must be re-authenticated, 1 through 60. Now, every 14 days, that's a bit more reasonable, I think, personally, right? If I have to just enter a text message every 14 days, that's not too overbearing. If I wanted to, I could set it to 60. There is a better option here in that I can just skip multi-factor authentication entirely from federated users on my intranet. So what we might do is we might save and just leave this one here and just see if it works for us this time. I'll be interested to see if it does. So we'll close our browser window. And this time I'm going to head straight over to outlook.com again. Okay. Oh. I'm probably typing something wrong there. There we go. Okay, so it sent me yet another text message. No, it hasn't. That's the old one coming back again. There we go. Now, in theory, even though that's saying something went wrong, something did go right. I just haven't enabled a mailbox for that user. In theory, the next time I sign in, now, I've realized I've made a mistake here because I did it in private browser. It's not going to store any cookies, right? So if I'd done it in a regular browser, the next time I sign in, it should skip that entirely and allow me to sign in without entering the text message, right? Which is going to keep users from killing themselves. Exactly. Every time you clear your cookies, you'd have to redo it, right? Because it's all based on cookie-based authentication.
Can't you choose the finance and app notifications and just click acknowledge? That's
I haven't tried that actually, but the app I've used previously has been Google's Authenticator, right? So I haven't used the Azure one yet, sorry.
Notification, you just acknowledge it here.
Yep. It's a cool way of doing it. Right, I'll have to try that app out. So gentleman down the front here has just added a tip in, which is that the Azure Authenticator app, yep, the Azure Authenticator app will allow you to say, you know, don't remember, oh, remember me for next time or something along those lines. What is the actual? Yep. Sends a pop-up. Yep. That's it.
You don't type in a number or anything.
Oh, right, okay, but does it have the remember option? Okay. The remember option is the one I want in particular because if you have to, you know, type in a username and a password and then go off that device to something else, it kills you. Like, I would highly recommend you try it for a bit because it really is an experience you don't want to do. So by adding that remember feature in, it's going to help a lot. And the other one is, I just want to go back and reiterate it. This one here, we can skip multi-factor authentication for requests coming from federated users on my intranet. Now we're running short on time, otherwise I would go through and give that a try. It would probably fail on me because I haven't had much luck so far. But I would recommend, if you're using this, to go and give it a try. All right, so multi-factor authentication summary. It's great for administrative accounts. It can be a bit oppressive from day-to-day use, so you have to manage the service settings to get around that to make it a good experience for your users. And finally, I would highly recommend it for any admin accounts you're using. All right, we're going to skip usage reporting, and there's a good reason for this, and that's in a demo tenant, it's very hard to demonstrate good amount of information. I could show you very quickly, but all it's going to have is information about my sign-in activity, right? It's not going to have any malicious stuff in there. The more users you have using it, the more information you get, so I'd highly recommend checking it out. All right, so coming back to 3 questions to consider from the very start of the session. How much do forgotten passwords cost your business, and should you use Azure Active Directory Premium to get around this? I kind of think this is a no-brainer, right? If you can reduce a full-time employee from having to do a task like resetting passwords every day by paying a few bucks for a feature, definitely go ahead and do it. How much would a security breach cost? Well, it would cost you around 5 million New Zealand, we reckon, on average. If you can prevent it by using multi-factor authentication, why wouldn't you enable that feature straight away, especially if you're already paying for it with Office 365? And lastly, you've seen how easy it is to improve the user experience and give your users a kind of sense of belonging and a consistent user experience across all of your applications very easily using Azure Active Directory Premium. So a call to action. Go over to the Azure Premium portal, sign up for a 30-day trial. You've got nothing to lose by doing this. You can enable it for just your user accounts, right? These links that I've provided up here, so customized branding on tinyurl.com/AAD branding, password reset on AAD password reset, multi-factor authentication on AAD MFA, and usage reporting on AAD reporting. As we didn't get time to go into that, I'd highly recommend you check out that last one as well, because it's another great feature that sells Azure Active Directory Premium. Now, as we're short on time, my contact details are up here. I'm happy to take some questions. We've got about 2 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? No, fantastic. Oh, yep.
Is there any way to force users to set up the second, you know when you tick the box to force them into multi-factor, is there any way to set them up so that they're forced to use self-service password?
Yes, absolutely. If you go through and set up multi-factor auth for them and click enforce in the portal, right? So there's 3 options. There's disable, enable, and enforced, right? At enforced level, they are forced to use multi-factor authentication. If you've enabled them for password reset, they're enforced. It's just going to work straight away. All right, well, look, I'm going to hang around here for about 10 minutes, and I'll be around at the event. Please feel free to come up and have a chat to me if you like, and thank you very much for your time.